So I worked with Albert Coons, and he had originally developed fluorescent antibodies. So these were incredible tools that, of course, we still use extensively in FACS analysis now. He just used them in immunohistochemistry. He was known for his studies of the immune response. And in his lab, there was another junior professor, and I worked with him for a while, and they were very obsessed with trying to generate in vitro antibody responses because they felt that that would provide a way to really analyze the immune system. And so I worked on T cells when I was a graduate student, and trying to look at whether there were T cells that bound antigen. But that actually didn't turn out to be particularly exciting work. But when I decided to go on to be a postdoctoral fellow, I went to work with Richard Dutton, who you will interview later. And he was known because I went to work with him because he and his colleague, Robert Michel, had figured out how to achieve this end of growing cells in vitro and getting them to respond. So I sort of started out, I thought that was the most exciting thing in immunology at that time, to be able to start to really analyze what was happening with lymphocytes in vitro. And so that's where I started at, really doing the work that I now continue, or progression therefrom.
So you sort of surveyed the postdoc opportunities around the country, and San Diego.
Yes, and of course I got advice from people. Mm-hmm. And people said, oh yes, that would be a good place to go.
Did you know Dick Dutton at that point? Or not?
No, I had never met him until I did meet him in the course of applying to his lab.
So what was it like as a postdoc at San Diego?
Oh, it was really very exciting. I think, especially for a woman in science, it really matters whether you work, who you work with, and whether you work with someone who's open-minded. And Dick is certainly that. And we had quite a large lab, and we had lots of discussions about what was important, what did we want to do. We had a wonderful journal club that many people over the years, many famous immunologists have attended. Ralph Zingernagel, Mike Bevan, of course Pippa Merrick, who you will interview. She was his postdoctoral fellow actually before me, so she wasn't in the lab when I was there. But we would discuss the most interesting papers of the day, and there was a lot of excitement at the time because people were immunology was just starting in sort of explosive growth and analysis of how things worked. So it was really a wonderful time to be a postdoc, to be in science, and it was really exciting.
Where was UCSD in the sort of firmament of that kind of research at that point?
Well, I'd say the whole La Jolla area. So there was UCSD, there was Salk Institute, there was Scripps, what used to be Scripps Clinic, but is now Scripps Research Institute. And there were leading people at all of these institutions. And so it was really like I think you always need. It was sort of a hotbed of ideas. And one of the things that we would organize little mini conferences, one-day retreats where the people got together and discussed the issues of the time, especially, how T cells see antigen, which was unknown at that time, whether they, why is there MHC restriction? What does that tell us? What does it mean? And so it was a very stimulating, exciting environment. And we were finding all sorts of things. We were one of the first labs to look at cytokines and to appreciate that they could, that once they were made by the T cells, they carried out many of the functions of the immune system. I think we were the first to show that they actually synergized with one another.